Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to see you for the second part of this training, where we will go into specifics about how to create, to design, to implement, and then to maintain and to fine-tune your flow. In the end of the day, this is kind of our basic responsibility as a leader to always keep doing this type of activities for our teams. Now, when it's coming to designing and creating your flow, one of the things that you want to do is to identify the key elements and the results you want to aim for. A little bit later, I'm going to give you the example of how I am doing this process, and it's absolutely not necessary for you to be the same. But when you think clearly and you understand what you want to achieve, and if you want to build something from scratch, it's much easier for you to look for solutions. Or if you want to do some corrections in your flow, it's much easier to understand what exactly you want to change. The second thing, you need to create all the supporting materials and structures, because when it's coming to the flow, the most important thing is duplication. But in order to duplicate, you need to kind of document the flow. You need to have the pitch books, you need to have the scripts, you need to have the PPTs, videos, flyers, manuals, follow-up materials, checklists, everything, plus have all the events which are helping your flow. So developing a flow is not only thinking what you need to do, but creating all the materials, because when you duplicate and you can actually delegate all of these materials to your leaders, then this is how you actually obtain more free time. Because when you document and things are standard and are in a flow, then you don't need to repeat it over and over again. When you have it when you have to repeat it over and over again undocumented, this is where there's 3 steps, 5 steps, 11 steps, 4 steps, based on how is your mood today and how many things you remember are happening. Now, with the work of the leaders and the way we work with our leaders, we've identified kind of 8 important directions of the work for the leader. You remember the juggling picture? This is kind of the plates we need to juggle. It's a separate training for this particular chart, but one of the most important directions is success in personal production. When I was telling about the value of leading by example, this is one of the ways you can convince your organization that the flow which you propose is the flow which is working. And this is when you have personal production success with this particular flow, especially when you are at the levels before Chairman's Club, I would say, or before President Team 30, 20, 30K. The success in personal production is a source for your business. And also it helps you have the needed feedback to check up whether the flow is working or not. I remember myself one time having a skin presentation, and I wasn't doing the skin presentation per se, and I didn't have a flow. And I remember myself struggling, and I think I was even a president team member. I remember myself struggling to do this skin presentation. I mean, to do it in a logical way, fast and really professional. And this is how I was actually identifying how the beginners distributors are feeling if they don't have this clarity, and I don't have this clarity, but I cannot teach them something which is easy and fast. So I had to really sit, think about what would be the best way to present the products, documented it, created all the materials, and then I teach all my organization. So your success in personal production is going to show you the flows in the flow. If you have any bottlenecks, or if you have any points which are not working very well. And also, when you are analyzing somebody, you always look at people who have success in personal production, because that's meaning that they have a good flow. Now, no matter the DMO, all the flows have more or less the same stages. You need to bring somebody in, you need to have a way of presenting the products, you need to have a way of selling the products, then you need to go through certain type of follow-up, so people will be introduced to the products and understand how to use them and to create the results and the meal plans and the combination and the lifestyle and everything. Then another thing is the personalization. And in my experience, there is two big misses in the flows. Most of the flows which I've seen and I've reviewed, they don't have the personalization part. So that's meaning that the distributors and the whole organization is only selling what they sell on the first sale. And if your first sale is healthy breakfast, when you will see your people selling only healthy breakfast, because if you didn't build in the personalization part, then people just will not do anything to promote the other products. You don't create in the flow the space to promote the other products. Then exposure to the business opportunity. This is the second problematic point in the flow, which I see over and over again with people having this mistake, not thinking thoroughly what is the business opportunity presentation, when it is, how to make sure everybody is exposing to the business opportunity, and also based on the flow, your business opportunity content, your business opportunity meeting content is going to be changed. Because when you work with the customers who you want to recruit as distributors, you have a different angle to present the business when if you will work with somebody who's looking for a business opportunity and the other way around. So here again, as I told you, your content needs to be linked to your flow, to your values, to your outcome. And then that's how you can really have this smooth and steady progression. Then what are you doing with somebody who wants to stay a customer or preferred customer? And if you have a distributor, how do you activate him? How do you make sure he's progressing to his supervisor qualification? Because when he's progressing to his supervisor qualification and he's productive in the supervisor position, this is when you make your royalties. So this is for me, when I'm thinking about the business flow, I'm always starting with the end in mind. My end in mind is royalties. Royalties bring to successful supervisors, and then I need to think of all the steps which will help me steady bring somebody from being just an contact, an active contact, which I had on the street or in a shop, to be my next leader or my next active supervisor. We have a lot of experience with business flow. We have been using for 10 years the use where talk approach. And when we work with the STSs, we were not doing STSs since 2003 because we couldn't, we didn't have an alignment with our strategy. We didn't want to, we were not, it was not possible for us to qualify somebody as a supervisor in the end of the STS. So we had to change that when we had the total plan and when we had the wellness evaluation. Then in 2007, also, we went to Mexico to study the nutrition club. But in that moment, we were considering that we are not ready, and we decided not to implement. There were things which were missing in our understanding of the business model. So this is why we didn't implement in 2008 the nutrition club. And then in 2014, we've introduced ambassador program. That's meaning a game change of the flow. And then in 2015, we've started the implementation of fit clubs and nutrition club models, another change of the flow. And then the marathons implementation, and then the PC flow implementation. And now we are relaunching the nutrition clubs 2.0 in our organization. So all the time, every 2 or 3 years, something is going to happen, and you will have to adjust, to adapt, to evolve, or even to change your flows. So I've been through these stages many times, and I wish somebody would have gave me the training I'm giving today many years ago, so I would have done things much faster. So I hope you take this knowledge and really implement and use it to your advantage. So this is about the creation and the design of the flow. Now the implementation is the next thing. Supposedly you have the flow, you know, you have the goals, you have all the outcomes you want to see, you have built every step and thought through, you have tested it by yourself and with a test group of, I don't know, 10, 15 trusted leaders in your team, so you can see whether this is only in your mind or the things are really working, and they can have the same results. Because when the test group can have the same results as you have, that's meaning that you are doing it right. But sometimes with the test group, you can see that this is not working, and then you need to adjust. And when you go to the implementation, and implementation is extremely important because we have these two sides of the coin. We need to have stability for steady duplication, and we have to have innovation. And this is always a challenge of destabilizing the existing things. And for us, innovation is unavoidable because our organizations are constantly exposed to new DMOs, new stories, new leaders, and they are always distracted by that. And new ways of doing business most of the times are not new models, are new DMOs. And if you remember, we have the DMO, we have the flow, and we have the model. So the DMO is going to be some little bow or some little thing, which is a conversation or just an approach. But this is so exciting for the people that they are really drawn towards that. And this is creating what I call the distraction of the bright, shiny object syndrome, because it seems like that flyer or that particular approach is the answer. The answer is whoever is successful in this moment, whoever is having a momentum in this moment, if you go down and analyze, you will see that they have a perfect flow, which is working. Not necessarily correct or not necessarily sustainable. And sometimes people are in the flow and afterwards they're not very happy on the long-term result. But in the moment of momentum, it's always a flow there. They know exactly what to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 10, and they teach the organization to do the same. And that's how the momentum is created. If you are changing, if you don't have a very good flow, then you will be forced and you will be drawn to make all these changes too often. And from the implementation standpoint, this is a problem. Sometimes we are forced to change with the factors outside of our control, whether it is a change in law or like it was the pandemic or economic crisis. But then you don't have another solution, because a good flow is a stream of very precise conversations, key phrases, and actions. And all elements are very neatly tied to each other. Changing of one element may affect the other elements. And like this little cog, if it is not there, the whole mechanism is not working the same. So this is why it's not changing a little bit here. It's actually when you change a little bit here, you need to see left and right into the flow. How is this affecting what happened before? And how is this affecting what will happen after? And make all the adjustment. And one of the examples I can give you, for example, introducing of the preferred customer program. Before we had the customer, and he could be just the customer and maybe the ambassador when we had the ambassador, and or he could be the distributor, and that was it. But now we had the preferred customer, which the preferred customer is a separate presentation because there are things to be taught to the customer, and then is a separate action because he needs to sign up, and then is a separate flow of steps because he needs to go through different types of discounts. So it's not just you say, oh, you just add the preferred customer. No, you need to make place in your flow for the preferred customer. When is your distributor explaining about the preferred customer? How is he explaining about the preferred customer? How is he supporting the preferred customer to sign up? How is he supporting him to keep ordering? What is happening afterwards? So it's many questions. It's not just adding something. It's really, like taking a separate piece of machinery and putting it into your engine. And that's meaning modifying the whole engine to be working again very streamlined. The innovation and change are very important, as I said, but it helps to adapt us in any circumstances, but in the same times is coming with this challenge, because every time we innovate and every time we change, we need to understand that people are really not very fast to adapt these changes, because once somebody has something automatic, and if somebody learns to do something automatic, even the wrong thing, even they're not very successful and not very efficient with that, but they know how to do something automatic, their brain is actually against that. Their brain is fighting to keep them in the comfort zone and to keep them in the known. So everything what is unknown is going to be a threat, and it's going to require more energy to be consumed. So for us as leaders, is not about us, but it's about what I call the wagon train, is actually the ability of the members to absorb this innovation and be successful in its implementation. And this is the innovation adoption model. This is something which I read in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Tipping Point. And that book actually changed a lot of my understanding and gave me so much more compassion and patience in implementing everything, you know. And that is just saying that it takes time until a new idea sinks in your organization, because there are people who are very, very sensitive to change and they jump immediately. These are the innovators and early adopters. And then we have your early majority, the people who will look first of the innovators and early adopters. They will criticize, they will question, they will not agree, they want more proof and more proof and more proof. And this is in the implementation stage where you need to come with validation, 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 validation. And you need to come with again explaining the flow and again explaining the same thing. For how a long time? Between 9 months and a year. So between 9 months and a year, you will have the biggest part of your organization actually not agreeing with you on that. But if you keep telling them again, this is how we're going to do, and look what the people who are doing it are obtaining, and again, and you validate with results, and you validate with results, then finally people start, okay, it seems like I'm not as efficient as this guy. I may try to do something. So it takes over 1.5 to 2 years cycle until all the organization is going to feel like this is new and automatic and it's easy. Still, you will have the laggards. 10-15% of your organization will never adapt. And I understand that. And I know who in my organization are the laggards. And I know that these guys are going to always stay in something they did 10-15 years ago. But I'm very grateful for them because they keep Herbalife alive. They are in Herbalife. They're grateful for the company. They're promoting the brand. And that's important. If they're not as efficient as I would like them to be, that's their choice. But if you understand then you have patience. And most importantly, you realize one of the most important things when talking about the duplication and implementation is not to take enough to tell people only one time what the change is. You need to be prepared to tell, you need to be prepared to show, you need to be prepared to have it in a video format, you need to have be prepared to have it as a script and do it over and over and over and over again for a full year. And every time, every training, you bring new results, new results, new results, and then gradually the people are going to adapt. And why it's important to understand that? Because then you understand that you cannot really bring changes every 6 months. This is when you think about your flow, you think thoroughly, you decide about it, and then you keep with it for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, until you see that it starts to really grow old. But if you are bringing new ideas every 6 months, it's just the early adopters that they are learning how to work with what you introduced 6 months ago. And now they need to change again. And then they will need to change again. So being at the international events, be mindful. What is the innovation which is exposed there? Just a particularity in the flow? Maybe you can ignore it. Maybe not. Maybe you need it. But sometimes there are things that we didn't implement it because we thought it is not going to bring us so big advantage, so it would deserve for us to go through all the hassle of the implementation. Because basically it's not so much difference whether it's a bad or a good idea. And for us, the only way when we are implementing it is when we understand that by implementing it, we will gain more when we will lose as distraction from the implementation. And there is another idea, is the difference between the emerging and implemented innovation. A lot of time people who come on stage as new president team because they have done a certain way of doing business, they didn't start it as president team. They started as Get team or Millionaire team. They had a small organization and it was easy to implement that innovation and they grew already in the existing model. If you have a big organization and you try to take that initiative and put it into your organization, it's already not an emerging innovation. This is an implemented innovation and it goes in a completely different direction. So for us, it's very important to distinguish between these things and to think 10 times whether we want to implement something or no, or not. So when you are forced to change, you have no choice, but then approach it as an implementation and understand that in this situation, again, you need to go through the same stages. Now, I want now to talk to you about the management of the flow, and want to share with you a little bit my personal process, how I approach the building of the flow. And for some period of time already, I have my approach, which is stable, and within the business models that we implement, we refer to it. So for us, our vision and strategy is how to build productive supervisors and stable royalties. This is our strategy. Whatever we do, we want to make sure that we are taking care of the productivity of our supervisors, and we are building sustainably. From this standpoint, we have our principles, which we always follow, but I've designed for us about, I don't know, already 7 years ago or 8 years ago, kind of our mission statement, and our mission statement is that we are building large communities of happy customers that consciously use the products, because the conscious use of the product help them overcome all the objections they have about the products. They use the products together with their families. They recommend their friends and join us in our mission. Now you can say, oh, mission statement, this is such a propaganda. But here I want to explain you how we were thinking and how this, in the end of the day, led to us adopting the nutrition club as a business model, and what we did within nutrition clubs as a flow to cover all of this. So we said large communities. That's meaning intensity and capacity. What type of DMO and events I need to choose in order to be able to address to big numbers of people? Again, the nutrition club was one of the answers. Happy customers. How do I make sure that they get results and understand the products? And have conscious use of the products. That's meaning that I need to educate them. How can I educate them? How can I show them all the products? You see, so because I have these questions, when I went and we've invented things in our flow, like adaptation program, like we've taken from Philippines, for example, the 10 days educational 10 talking points to educate customers about the products. So we do things with the customers, so we make sure that they not only use the products, but they understand why supplementation, why to use this or that product, and how is this helping them. Together with the families, what is the process to get into the families? So we have in our approach and in our scripts singled out the questions that our distributors are supposed to ask the customers about the family, about how they eat in the family, who is cooking in the family, how can they bring the special family reunions we have, so they can bring their family members, and we can explain to them about that. We teach the customers how to cook with our products, because this is bringing the products to their families in a different format. So you see that there is in the question, there is an answer waiting. And then we ask ourselves these questions so we can draft our answers. Recommend their friends. Do I have a referral approach in my flow? When do I ask for the referrals? How do I work with them? They join in our mission. How do I expose them to the business opportunity? How I make sure that every customer I have is exposed to the business opportunity? I need to teach my distributors not only that they need to expose, but how they invite to the HOM. What is the content of the HOM? Who is doing the HOM? When we do the HOMs? So an HOM, for example, is an event which is supporting the flow. Active distributors and productive supervisors. What is my activation process? How I make sure that I'm supporting my distributor to start the new business, and they can actually have customers and distributors and have build their supervisor qualification. And this is how we build our flow. And it doesn't matter the diagram, it doesn't matter whether it goes from left to right, or from up to down, or it goes in circle, whether it has emojis or icons, or it has squares with text in it. It doesn't matter. It needs to be something which is logical for you. You can see the progression of the person from a customer to a happy customer with the family, long-term customer, eventually the distributor to successful distributor with a lot of customers and other distributors. You need to see how the people can transition from one level to another. And right now, after the pandemics, of course, we have built our flow steps. We have built offline exposure. We have built online exposure. We are teaching the people how to merge these two together. So there is a lot of learning in the process, including as a pandemic's aftermath. And of course, we added the online aspect, which is helping us to work long distance, but in the same time, the online format had to reflect the same things as offline. Again, you have you dedicate time to think about that. In my personal process, I have like a couple of points I'm following. I have an open line. I always develop the habit to take the data from my group, to take the feedback. For example, a couple of days we had our big event, and I was talking with somebody from my group in the vacation, and I heard that he has a girl which is very good in personalization. I had that girl name, and she's down in my lines. I had an interview with her, and she was already speaking at our event, giving to the organization the details about how she is personalizing the products, because her average consumption is 200 volume points per customer. That's meaning that she has a lot of customers who consume 300, 400 volume points. And she said, I have customers, more than 20 customers who consume as much as I do, which is over 600 volume points a month. So you take that feedback and you take that sparks of innovation, how I call them, and you bring them back to your team. And sometimes you even put them into the flow. Practice your flow, whether you do it by yourself or you do it with your first liners who are you growing. Look for the things that are not working, for the roadblocks and bottlenecks, so you can find a solution for them. Because if something is not working over and over again for a lot of people, that's meaning that there is a roadblock, or that's meaning that you haven't been training for a while about that, or that your training system is lacking that content. This is how I always develop my attention, to be sure that I have in the training system a certain content, so I target that problem. And look for sparks of innovation and savvy ideas. I study them, I document them, and then I put them to the disposal of my group. My rule is I implement an idea only if the gains from it exceeds the implementation distress, if I may say that. And this is why we have an ongoing flow committee, and we have the most experienced people who are passionate about the flow. And just yesterday, during the event, I had one of my president team coming to me, and she told me, I want to be in the flow committee for the next period of time because I'm interested to implement this and this in my organization, and I want to be a part of the process. This is the group we are testing. It's about 15 people in the group, and when we are testing all our ideas, and when we analyze the results, and we are looking for things that are working, that are not working, we build the supporting assets and always amend the training content. We launch it into the team, and we follow the implementation laws, and have patience. This is very important. Now, fine-tuning and evolving, it's a constant process. We never stop in that. Every 6 or 8 months or so, we are going to review the things. This is, as I told you, I have the open mind, and I have an open mind also, but I have an open line. I always try to take feedback, and I try to take feedback not from the president team or millionaire team in our organization. I try to take the feedback from active Volt teams and Volt teams, because they are really hands-on every day on the marketplace, and they don't have a lot of skills and experience to compensate, because we are compensating a lot with our skills. We don't even need a wellness evaluation to make a retail sale. We are selling the products and recruiting the distributors while we are just moving through our life. But for them, this is not coming so easy. They don't have the same resources and the same skills as us. So from them, I can gather the insight of what exactly is happening on the marketplace, and that's how you can always have this agility and presence of what is happening in the organization. And this is where we bring our resources and our skills to be able to fix that. In the closing of this training, I just want to tell you that this is important to understand, that the big leaders act from a sense of mission, and the sense of mission we have it from Mark Hughes, is that we want to create a better place in this world with all the people we help to be healthier and to be wealthier. And it's important not to look for easy way, but to strive to become stronger, more knowledgeable in everything you do. And that's how you will keep your relevance on the marketplace. And that's how you will actually be always present with your group and with your organization. We always help and inspiration for them. And also will be able to adapt and adjust to any changes on the marketplace. I wish you all the best of success. I hope you had some learnings from my training. And in the meantime, let's everybody be successful and healthy for the rest of our lives. Bye-bye.